Schultz, last couple minutes before Romney starts talking. Get in here, Ed.
Well, again, Romney is going to have a tax issue on Monday night. Here we go again. It just keeps going on and on. I don't know if the personal history of Newt Gingrich is going to come up on Monday night because of the size of this win by Gingrich, and the conservative vote certainly didn't pay any attention to his personal history. But the tax issue for Romney doesn't go away, and that obviously is going to be presented.
But doesn't all the fire now train on Newt Gingrich, right? I mean, they've been sort of going after Romney when they can here and there, but right now, doesn't Gingrich become the guy who everybody's shooting at?
Well, they were shooting at him a lot before. For a long time, Romney was getting away with just standing on the sidelines, while, especially during that December Gingrich surge, all the other also-rans were attacking Gingrich to try to get to that number 2 spot. Look, I think Tamron just delivered us the most important number of the night, electability, 48%, saying Gingrich is more electable, 39% Romney. He didn't squeak it out on electability. He just trounced Romney on electability in South Carolina by 10 points. There is no more important Romney argument than electability.
The number's a disaster for Mitt Romney. And I think we'll know over the next 72 hours what is the impact of this victory for Newt Gingrich. Do Romney's poll numbers across the country begin to collapse even further? He has to begin to stabilize his situation. He has to stop making a lot of the mistakes he's made over the last week. And I think even before you get to the debate on Monday night, I think you're going to be looking for Mitt Romney to try to settle this tax issue and make a disclosure announcement, I suspect, before the debate on Monday night.
Wow, you think it'll be before the debate?
I do, because I think it's just he's bleeding all over the place from this issue, and it's driving a lot of the mistakes that the campaign have made, and they have to get stable as fast as they can, or they'll wind up in big trouble pretty quick.
Chris Matthews is in Tampa right now. Chris, Steve is saying that he thinks that Mitt Romney will try to settle the tax issue before the Monday night debate so he doesn't get hit on it all night long.
Well, he better disclose and not say he's going to disclose. He cannot pull the wimpy line out of Popeye and say, I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. If he wants the voters to vote for him, he's got to disclose today. He can't say, I'll give you 2 or 3 years of returns come April 15th with my regular return schedule. This thing is going to heat up, and I think journalists do have a responsibility here to get this information. All politicians have given us their tax returns. I think you have to go back to 96 and Bob Dole to find somebody who wouldn't. For whatever reason, in his case, he certainly wasn't a wealthy man. But here you have a guy who has admitted paying, as he says, close to 15%. We don't know whether it's close from below or close from above, or it's nowhere near what he pays, or whether there were several years he paid no taxes. We don't know why he put money over in an island resort or whatever to keep it safe. We don't know why. There's a lot of things the public wants to know here. This has been the hottest issue, not just with Ed Schultz and a bunch of us. The hottest issue of the year is economic inequality. And it seems to me that he has to answer this. Now, if he gets away with it with any media, I don't think the media are doing their job. I think the pressure's got to stay on him. It's got to stay through the next 2 weeks. And Steve, if he says, I'll tell you in 2 weeks, I don't think that's good enough.
Let me devil's advocate on this a little bit, though.
He's got tax returns in hand with his accountant right now. He can give us. He filed last year. He's filed every year, we assume, in all his grown-up years. He can give us any tax return he wishes to.
Well,
he said the other day, I have to check the documents. What do you mean I have to check the documents? Chris, what does that mean? You got to show us the documents.
You're right that everybody has disclosed, that all previous candidates, nominees have disclosed, but they haven't all disclosed in January. They haven't all disclosed at this time of the year. No. Steve, you were making this point earlier that some people have waited much longer to disclose.
Look, I stated this imprecisely last week when Chris and I were arguing about this with Romney's taxes. In 2004, the Bush campaign tried to make the case that John Kerry should release his wife's tax returns because of her great wealth, because it had helped him win the nomination when he took out a second mortgage on the house. And he never did. He released his tax returns, late in the year. There's never been a demand for disclosure this early. I don't think Mitt Romney's going to put the taxes out on Monday, and I don't think they're going to be disclosed before the primary in Florida. But I think he's going to look to close the issue down and to say, I'm going to release my taxes. This is how many years I'm going to release them for, and this is by date certain that I'm going to release them. And I suspect that they will be released sometime between the Florida primary and the long interregnum between the Super Tuesday.
I was in that 2004 race with Kerry. The difference is the Bush people asked John Kerry to release them after the nomination, which we didn't have we had the convention in the summer. This is an issue in the Republican primary. It was not an issue with John Kerry in the Democratic primary. We were not pressuring John Kerry. You've got your own fellow Republicans doing this. And I think that's why you have the timing difference. It's a big difference. The other thing I think you have here, which I agree with Chris Matthews on, is while Romney is not releasing them, he's the one attacking the president for being divisive, talking about class. He's the one talking about the politics of envy. So I'm not going to show you what I'm making. I'm not going to show you my percentage, but I'm going to call you envious and I'm going to accuse you of being divisive to even raise questions.
It's also an issue of practicality. The economic condition of the country is different than what it was back in 2004. The income inequality, the chart that we show all the time on this network, that's where America is right now. There's a sense of unfairness that's going on. And when a candidate comes out and says, well, I don't know, I made $375,000 to speak, and fees not that much, it just doesn't fly with people. It's not practical. Releasing your taxes are practical. That's why I brought mine here tonight, because my wife said there's been a lot in the media about taxes.
Let me see that.
Do you have
pass that right over here?
I said, so I thought, yeah, honey, I can grab our taxes back. This is 2008. This is
Come on,
this is E.A. Schultz Construction. And Lawrence, I can't tell you everything that's in there, but I can tell you who did them. I can tell you that they're professionally done.
Take a look at America.
And I'll even give this answer.
Don't go too close.
Some years we made money. Some years we lost money. Some years were better than others. But we created jobs. But here are my taxes. Americans keep their taxes in a closet. They keep them in the garage. They keep them in the attic. They're accessible. But all of a sudden, as a matter of practicality, Mitt Romney doesn't have his taxes for weeks on end in a time of income inequality where that is the conversation of the country.
Out. If you owe, if you don't, I mean, everybody goes. So what is the big deal here? We had to disclose.
There's much more complexity in Romney's tax return life. First of all, obviously the numbers are bigger. His return is not that small. It's probably, in fact, hundreds of pages long on the personal end. He could have returns that are actually thousands of pages long that involve some of these LLCs that he has, and also he has many entities that are filing tax returns. The trick question for what Chris is talking about is, what is satisfaction of this demand? Is his personal tax return actually satisfaction of this demand? Because he's running all kinds of LLCs that actually are what his wealth is about, that don't have his name on them as personal tax return items. And in the real world, you would want to see those. And also, his returns are so complex that those returns frequently involve delays in filing, legitimate delays in filing. They frequently incur penalty fees because of the delays in filing, because of the complexity. And so he can have things that I actually think, as a tax practitioner, are innocent little things that will look terrible.
But Lawrence, he is perfectly positioned to make the case to the American people. This is why we need reform.
30,000-page tax code. This is why it looks like this.
Because you know what? The laws in New York are a lot different from the laws in Minnesota. The laws in Minnesota are different from the ones in Illinois. And he is perfectly positioned to make the case to the American people that practicality should not be my problem. It should be what I would be able to present to the American people as a better system, and he has missed it.
Well, this was a totally predictable issue.
Yes.
They knew this question was coming from 150 miles away. This was a small issue. The release of the taxes by any candidate for president is really a ministerial issue of the campaign. It's been terribly handled. I think it's been terribly handled at the candidate level. And now it's become a major issue in the campaign. And coming off a loss and coming off a collapse of this magnitude, Mitt Romney doesn't have much room to make many more mistakes like this. So he goes into this debate Monday with expectations that there are at their highest level for Mitt Romney at any debate that he's gone into. Doesn't have any room to make any mistakes, and he has to dispose of this issue or he could wind up being in a lot of trouble.
People talk about how well organized the Romney campaign is. The tax return meeting in the Romney campaign should have taken place at least a year ago. It would have been a few hours long. You would have made every decision. We're going to release this, and this. This is when and how we're going to do it.
Well, it should have taken place 5 years ago.
Maybe he'll release them right now.